What's up? So if you like me, living green and reducing your food waste is probably a little hard and complicated, right? But it doesn't have to be. Not when we're using Waste Not. Waste Not is an at-home composting service, and it's pretty simple. They give you a clean bucket, you put your food, scraps, paper products, and compostables in, then they come pick it up in like a week or two later, and they give you a whole new clean bucket. So give Waste Not a try at home. Check out wastenotcompost.com. Plus, our CityCast Chicago listeners can test the service with a free month by using promo code CityCastCompost, all one word. Today on CityCast Chicago, quick question. Are you somebody who likes to get dressed up, go out for a nice meal, maybe a drink and a little dessert by yourself? Well, according to Open Table, more and more folks are booking a table for one these days. But why exactly? And what makes a restaurant good for solo dining? I asked the Chicago food writer to give us their favorite spots for eating alone. It's Wednesday, September 25th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Samantha Nelson is a freelance food writer whose work you can find at the Chicago Tribune, Time Out Chicago, and Eater Chicago. And Samantha, I want to thank you because some of your Eater lists have been my favorite this year. So welcome to CityCast Chicago.
No, thank you for having me, and I'm so glad that you found my guides useful.
The reason we got you here is because last year you helped curate a list about some of the best spots to dine alone in Chicago. And when I thought of that, at first I was like, well, I feel like you could dine alone anywhere in Chicago. But then when I started going through the restaurants I've personally visited in the city, it's clear there are some that I've only gone to with friends, family, on dates, never by myself, and have actually never really considered some of the places a spot I would go to alone. And so I want to bring you in here to really kind of get a better sense of how you think about this. But first, why do you think more people are eating alone now?
I think there's a few different reasons. I think that honestly, people now that lockdown is over feel like they want to make up for lost time. We eat a lot of meals at home and people want the experience of going out again. And when people are working from home, they have kind of more opportunities to go out and eat wherever it is that they live. So as opposed to, when people are, say, all working in the South Loop or other places that are really catered to that business community, there's so many options there that are focused on grab and go meals. Whereas if you're working from home, there's more of an opportunity to say, go somewhere, bring your laptop, have lunch, use that time to get some work done, but also get a change of scenery.
Like if I'm thinking of a restaurant that I want to go out and take my girlfriend, like some of the criteria of like, what's the vibe I'm trying to get for that night? Is it like loud? So maybe that won't allow for good conversation, but maybe we want to be out. We want it to be energetic. So we're thinking about that. If I'm thinking about a place for a group, I'm thinking about maybe big tables, a place that maybe makes it easy to split the check. But when you're thinking about what makes a good restaurant good for eating by yourself, what are you thinking about?
So one of the things that I think about first, honestly, is the seating options. A restaurant that tends to be a fine dining restaurant, I sometimes feel guilty about taking up a table just to myself, especially if it's a place that's like very in demand. But I love places with a nice bar, places with counter seating for dining alone, because you can just grab a seat solo, and that's actually often very convenient for solo dining because it's often faster. You can watch and sometimes even mingle with the bartender or whoever is working behind the counter if you're looking to socialize, or those counters often have a nice space for your laptop if that's what you're up to. So that's probably the thing I look at the most. But otherwise, sometimes places that are just casual and fast, places where I can go and sit down and it's not going to be a big deal if I'm there for a little while to linger. There are more places in the city that are really kind of positioning themselves as that third space that are, coffee shops, but also serve meals and will be totally happy with you just coming and lingering if you want to start with coffee and then get an omelet.
When I think of like going out to a coffee shop if I'm going to maybe a quick, like a chain restaurant, like I don't think twice about maybe sitting still, eating my meal, working on my laptop. But like you said, you sometimes maybe feel guilty at a place that, maybe is a more fine dining restaurant where they're trying to move people in and out. And so I want to talk a little bit more about that. Like, what do you think lends itself to this presumed discomfort to eating by yourself?
That's a good question about where the guilt comes from. I think it's one of those things that, because I'm so kind of tied into the industry, I try not to like linger at a table too long after I'm done eating. Even if I've got friends, it's like, all right, well, let's pay our check and move to another location if we want to continue on. But I think there has been a lot of stigma in the past, and to some degree probably still is, about eating alone. Like, why are you doing that? Do you have no friends? Are you a sad person? And I think that it should be okay, because honestly, sometimes the answer is, I'm traveling and I'm in a city where I don't know anyone else, but I'm here for work and I want to eat, and I'm not going to take it back to my hotel room because I want to eat something that tastes better and fresher if I have it right at the restaurant. And so I'm going to enjoy it in that context and have a drink and relax, as opposed to trying to figure out how to eat in a hotel room, which is like, I don't know, is there a desk? Like, do they have silverware? It's a mess.
No, that's a very good point. Like, now that I think about when I'm on the road traveling, whether it's for storytelling, whether it's for conferences, I'm often eating out alone. And I guess because I'm not in my city, I'm not thinking of it in the same way. But like, if I am like just here in Chicago, I feel like the stereotype I've been served on TV my whole life is that if I see somebody eating by themselves, they've been stood up and they're just trying to make it through the night before they leave. And I never really think about the freedom in wanting to just go to a restaurant you've been wanting to try and not having to wait for somebody, or not having to, kind of justify it with a holiday or a special event.
Yeah, and there is great freedom in this. Like, my husband doesn't really like ramen, but I love ramen. And so I'll go out sometimes and just go to a ramen place and order ramen for myself, especially if it's like cold or I'm, just feeling like I need some kind of comfort food. And ramen is great because it's fast and there are often bars where you can just sit at. So it's like a top tier solo dining food in my book.
At the heart of Chicago, there's Navy Pier. It's a place where the Centennial Ferris wheel gives views for days. It's where boat tours take off and where the music is always on. It's where you can spin around on rides, share around with friends, and taste every flavor Chicago has to offer. This is Navy Pier, and this is what it's made for. Plan your visit at NavyPier.org.
What's up, y'all? I got another fall theater pick for you, and it's coming out of the award-winning Paramount Theater, which is kicking off their 13th Broadway series season. The Full Monty is playing now through October 6th. This musical follows a group of unemployed steel workers out in Buffalo who decide to create a strip show to help pay the bills. Yes, you heard me right. Reviews call The Full Monty a big, bawdy, unabashed comic revival as these guys bare their souls to one another, and yes, their bodies too. If you're planning a party or another big outing, this might be the show for y'all. Groups of 10 or more get special savings. To grab your tickets, call 630-896-6666 or visit ParamountAurora.com. Use promo code CityCast for $5 off per ticket for up to 4 tickets. Again, that's ParamountAurora.com. Well, let's get into the list. Let's start with favorite restaurants to dine by yourself if you're on a budget.
I already mentioned ramen. So I like Ramen Sun's lunch special. So they've got 4 locations. There's Lincoln Park, River North, Fulton Market, and Streeterville. And it's just, they've got a really nice lunch special deal where you get a ramen, a rice plate, a small salad, and some marinated cucumbers. So that's all for $16.95, and that will leave you nice and full. So I really like that as a good budget lunch option. Cafecito is another one of my favorites. I'm from South Florida and love Cuban food, and there aren't that many places to get it in Chicago, but Cafecito is one of the best. They've got a few locations, but the Loop is always packed. I'd say only go there if you are actually planning on carrying out, because there's no seating and there's always a line out the door. But if you go to the Gold Coast, it's super chill. You can sit at the bar. They show the most random movies. The last time I was there, they were showing Batman Forever, and that movie is just wild. But it's a great place to go have a bowl of a black bean soup, have some tostones, and just enjoy a little bit of warm weather food, especially on like a cold Chicago day.
Yeah, I get the chimichurri or the cubano every time I go to Cafecito. I think last time I went, we were meeting up as a CityCast Chicago team. You mentioned Ramen San. I've had their Fulton Market location, and I've had both the 10-hour tonkatsu and the kimchi and fried chicken. I'm going to be real with you. I'm a sucker for a menu item that tells me like how long something was preparing. Like you tell me 12-hour, 72-hour aged. I'm the marketing sucker that was meant for. And so it almost always works out for me. One other place that I wanted to put on, and I know earlier we kind of made it seem like, we're not really talking about coffee shops here, but one I did want to put on the list is Robust Coffee Lounge in Woodlawn. This is a place that I have gone a few times to work by myself, but it's a place that you can get breakfast, you can get smoothies. They got a great brisket sandwich that every single time I've had it, it has been fantastic. Between Ramen San, Robust Coffee, and Cafecito, I think those are great places to go by yourself. And we don't often think about those as the places that's maybe a little uncomfortable to go and dine alone. But if you're thinking for maybe a little more expensive, a little more upscale or elevated restaurant, what are some places that are on your list for dining alone?
The Duck Inn is just a phenomenal place in Bridgeport. Chef Kevin Hickey knocks it out of the park. He's got really, really good comfort food. And again, I like sitting at the bar when I'm dining solo. So you can book a table at the Duck Inn and eat with a group and share a bunch of plates. But if you're solo, just go into the bar and have some cheese curds, have one of their Chicago-style duck fat dogs, have some duck wings, just get all over their namesake food. It's really delicious stuff.
This is another one that I love the Duck Inn, but again, they're like, we got a 48-hour short rib. You got me. Short rib was good, but you threw 48 hours in front of it. I'm going to sit there and have that. Order some other places that, again, might cost a little bit more, might take a little bit more time to prepare, but worth it, even if you're by yourself.
Yeah. And Arami is another good option, again, because you can sit at the sushi bar and watch the chef, and which I love. I'm a sucker for anything. My favorite thing, I think, in the world to do is just watch bartenders work.
Okay. I'm a chef's counter person myself.
Exactly.
Too.
Chef's counter, sushi counter. It's amazing. And it's so much fun, especially when you're solo dining, because I always feel bad because if I'm dining with someone else, they might be talking to me and I'm just mesmerized because I want to watch my food made. I want to watch my drink made. This is my home cooking show out. And so when I'm solo dining, I don't have to worry about it. So, take a seat at Arami, order a cocktail, a glass of sake, and just watch the show. Have some sashimi, have some nigiri, maybe some spicy Alaskan crab wrapped with marinated tuna, and splurge a little bit on yourself because, you deserve it.
Man, something about, like you said, watching bartenders, watching chefs at work up close. Yeah, I don't know. I love it. I appreciate the restaurants that encourage it stateside for you to come in. So I wanted to add a restaurant to the list. A couple of weeks ago, I went out to Baylor's Watermelon Stand, which is off of like 101st, 102nd and Halsted. Been there for 40 plus years, but there's a restaurant that opened close by within the last year plus, and it's called Lior's Cafe. It's out in Roseland on 105th and Halsted, and it's one of the city's only Haitian restaurants. And the menu absolutely looks good. And the reason I suggest it as a restaurant that people might want to go by themselves, is one, the art is spectacular. Like the art on the walls, it's almost like they have an art gallery wall that has different pieces. There are murals outside of the building as well. And then of course, the food itself is fantastic. The shrimp bombs, the chicken and dumplings, the Haitian wings, the oxtail, the poisson rouge, like you can't go wrong with Lior's out in Roseland. And it's a spot that you can definitely take people if you want, but big portions. And if you want them all to yourself, then pull up Solo Dolo.
That sounds phenomenal.
We've gone through places to get a quick bite. We've gone through maybe a couple more elevated experiences. I wanted to talk to you about maybe a spot you might go solo and get a good drink as well.
Oh, absolutely. So Hop Leaf is probably my top pick for that because one of the reasons I put that on the list is because, again, it's a pain to get in. They take limited reservations and they've got more room when the weather is nice because they've got a wonderful beer garden, but it is always bustling. It's a real institution on the north side.
I was going to say it's up in Andersonville, right on Clark Street.
Yeah, exactly. And, it was like one of the, real leaders in it kind of introducing people to Belgian beers. And they've got an amazing craft list. It's almost like intimidating how long it is, but luckily they'll help you if you ask for a recommendation. But yeah, go there, get yourself some kind of really nice Belgian beer, and then also get some mussels because they're actually made with the Belgian beer. So it's just the absolute perfect complement.
Any other spots that you like to go get a drink by yourself and also got great food?
Cortino is like probably one of my favorite restaurants in the city. And again, one of the things I like about why I often go there solo is there's a dish that no one else I know seems to really enjoy, which is their Sicilian caponata. And I just want it all to myself. It's eggplant and capers and olives, and you just spread it over some bread because they're all small plates, which is great for solo dining. I have a really good pasta with clams. And so I go there and they've got like a really nice, everything is unbelievably affordable too. So this can kind of double for both, which is super funny because Cortino is also a place that you could bring 10 people and they wouldn't bat an eye. It's a fantastic place for groups. But you can go there, get a seat at the bar, have a Bellini, have some sangria. They've got just nice selection of Italian wines that are all really affordable. So just a nice place to unwind and with some very carb heavy food.
Hey, I'm gonna actually stay with you on carb heavy, but I'm gonna take us out to Austin to this restaurant called Shake a Leg. One thing people know that Chicago can do well is like the jerk lamb chops, Alfredo pasta, a great fried catfish over some pasta, and Shake a Leg really does it well. And the reason I suggested not only a place to get a drink because they got a good sneak up on you, which they do a little reposado, a blue shake punch that they have. I think it's a house recipe that you got to ask them about. But every video that I've seen, whether on like TikTok or Instagram of this restaurant, which I think opened earlier this year, is the two owners, the two brothers who own it, the bartenders who work there. Everybody just seems so excited to talk to you about the restaurant, to ask you how the food and the drinks are, to bring people out to Austin. I think it's right off of Division and Central, not far from Jay's Backyard Barbecue. Samantha, I did have one more category for you. We've gone through quick bites. We've gone through elevated experience. We've talked about grabbing a drink. But what about if you want to go by yourself, but not necessarily be by yourself, right? You possibly want to talk to people. You want to meet some people. What are some spots that you might go and run into a new friend? I was thinking of Mesler and the SoFi Hotel down at Hyde Park, which is a place I've gone for brunch. I've gone for dinner with people, but every time I've walked by, there always seems like there's like some networking event, some convention, people who are in town for work or for business, people who are like staying there because they live maybe out in the burbs and they're like in for a birthday or something. They got the Mesler deviled eggs with smoked salmon, some capers and some shallots, the lobster roll. I'm not a big fan of the market price, the MP on the menu. I want to know what it is. It's the first thing I ask when I pull up. But brown butter, lemon, parsley with some lobster mayo, shredded lettuce. The bun is always soft. And so, yeah, Mesler would be my suggestion if you maybe want to talk to some people while you're there.
I'll put out there Irazu. It's just one of my favorites in general, and it's just got like a great vibes. It's it used to be BYO. They've now are actually serving their own cocktails. But it's a place that again brings in a lot of groups too, which is why it's funny for it to be, but also great for solo. Everyone's kind of crowded together. So it's just a good place to chat with some people and, enjoy some empanadas and just enjoy it. You see a lot of bachelor and bachelorette parties. So just also some good people watching there. A Warlord is another one, just because you might wind up making friends in the line because that place is hard to get into and doesn't take reservations. And it's also open until 1 a.m. So you might make some chaotic friends there.
Irazu is a Costa Rican restaurant up in Wicker Park, and Warlord is a restaurant in Avondale. I've been to Warlord this year. One of the best steaks I've had this year. But like you said, it is a spot where you have to go. Put your name on the list and they will give you a call. As someone who has dined alone in other cities for work as you travel, what do you think makes Chicago's experience maybe unique or interesting or makes it stand out from some of the other places you've been?
I mean, Chicago is just one of the best dining cities in the world, bar none. So it just has an enormous variety of food. So you can basically find whatever it is that's going to make you feel like either if you're looking for a taste of home or if you're looking for something that you've never tried before and want to have an adventure, you can find that. There's tons and tons of hotels that so you're going to have lots of your business travelers who are going to be dining out on solo. But you also have, musicians and artists and people who are traveling for conventions and just anything you can imagine there's a good reason for it. I think it's also a city that has a lot of room. It's not as, say, cramped as something like New York or London, where I think the expectation is because things are just moving so fast that if you're dining solo, they want to get you out the door as quickly as possible. I mean, there are places in Chicago that you can do that if that's what you're looking for, a quick meal. But there are also plenty of places that are going to be totally okay for you to linger. And it's also just a friendly city.
I was going to add that for sure.
You can make friends with the people working there. You can make friends with the people just next to you. There are times where I've just started conversations with people based on what they were eating, or they want to know what I'm eating. And they're like they're like, oh, that looks really good. What is that? They're from out of town and, have some recommendations, which I'm always happy to give. So I think you can dine alone and not feel lonely.
When you're out with others, and, I'm extremely nice. I speak to the waiters. I try to speak to chefs. But when you're out with others, you're often present in that. And maybe when you're alone, you're able to kind of look up a little bit more and kind of appreciate the hustle and bustle that is taking place in the restaurant. I feel more present in just how cool it is to see a restaurant ran well, to see the people there who do enjoy it, the people who are cooking, who do enjoy creating that experience for others. And when I'm by myself, I even lean into maybe lingering just a little bit longer, being a little more friendly. And I found it to be reciprocated more times than not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had times where I've been sitting at a bar and bartender will be like, hey, I'm experimenting with this new drink. Do you want to try it? And I love doing that. Or you meet people and it's not just, we're trying to pick someone up or buy you a drink. It's just chilling and chatting and being curious and hanging out and getting to know each other. And there's something, I don't know, just nice about that. And again, I think it's one of those things, if it is becoming more of a trend, maybe it's because we just have been missing that kind of casual human connection that was hard to find for a while.
I want to give you another huge thank you for stopping by CityCast Chicago. Big fan of yours, and hopefully we can have you back soon. Shout out to freelance food writer Samantha Nelson. Samantha, thank you for stopping by CityCast.
No, thank you. This was great.
Before we let you go, make sure you bookmark our website, chicago.citycast.fm. There you're going to find our neighborhood and walking guides. You can subscribe to our daily newsletter, Hey Chicago, and you can sign up to become a member of CityCast Chicago, where you'll not only get ad-free listening, but a members-only events emailed directly to your inbox. Something you can only get on the podcast is this good news. This week is a celebration of the 30th anniversary of the groundbreaking Academy Award nominated Chicago documentary Hoop Dreams. It followed West Siders Arthur Agee Jr. and William Gates for 5 years, documenting their high school basketball journeys. There's going to be a court unveiling in Garfield Park this Saturday from 1 to 4 p.m. inspired by the film. Agee Jr. and Gates will also be in the building. They're going to have music, food, giveaways, and more. Please check the link in our show notes for more information. As always, we appreciate you for listening and reading. We're going to be back bright and early tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Peace. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but like what I'd give to go to Giant at the chef's counter, have a crab salad, and just like watch it by myself, but my girlfriend would disown me. She's even gonna hate me for even suggesting that I go there by myself. That is our together spot.